Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, May the 3rd, 2020. It is currently 9:09 a.m. Central Time. Now, here in less than an hour, I'm supposed to be live streaming our church service here at Victory Baptist Church. However, I wanted to hit the big red go live button for the non-Catholic podcast and do a special live broadcast. However, obviously, I don't have a lot of time, so I'm somewhat restricted in what I can do here. So I need to start first with a very important word of warning or caution. And this is going to be one of those situations where a lot of the responsibility is going to fall on you, the listener, all right? So I'm going to give a word of warning, going to kind of tell you what your responsibility is, and then we're going to see how far we can get in this. We'll definitely come back to this subject. And I've got a lot of research in front of me that I've been able to do over just the last few minutes, and then I will explain. You can kind of hear I'm losing my voice, so I may have to do this a couple of times. That's taking a drink of water, all right? So I apologize for that. All right, so let's do this. Let me explain. Yesterday, I think it was on my way home, I'd come out here to do some live broadcasting, did a couple of hours of live broadcasting, gathered everything together, got in my car, and as I got in the car, I turned on Christian radio. And I heard this discussion about Pope Francis, and I was like, wait, what is going on? Now, the name of the program is called Understanding the Times. It comes on Saturday afternoons, and it comes on Sunday afternoon, right when typically I hear it when I get ready to leave church on Sundays and I turn on Christian radio. I hear it on the way home. Now, let me make sure you understand something about the Understanding the Times radio program. It's a podcast. It's a radio program. They obviously are very much focused on end time studies, right? Eschatology, the study of end times, biblical prophecy, and all of that. They definitely come at things from a very dispensational kind of mindset when it comes to biblical prophecy. They definitely hold to a premillennial rapture understanding, a literal millennial kingdom. So they have a very specific viewpoint when it comes to biblical eschatology. All right. And we could get into all of that discussion, but I just kind of want you to understand what you're getting ready to hear because I'm going to play some of this for you. Sometimes they talk about things that I don't always put it this way. I don't always agree. And I would say that anyone who listens to the program can't take everything they hear and just go, okay, that's absolutely true. They need absolutely true. They need to go research it for themselves because they make a lot of claims on the program, a lot of claims. And sometimes the claims, I would say, come close to falling into that conspiratorial mindset that is very prevalent within certain aspects of Christianity, all right? So I'm always skeptical of anything I hear. However, I always listen because it gives me plenty to think about, and it does give me things to research. And I don't just listen to what I agree with, okay? I mean, I don't know why anyone would want to do that. Don't just listen to what you agree with. Listen to things you disagree with because it forces you to think. It forces you to clarify your own position. I mean, that's why I listen to, obviously I'm not a Catholic. I mean, this is the non-Catholic Catholic program, right? I'm the non-Catholic Catholic. The reason I go by that title is, many times I've had people say, no, you're a Catholic because of the way I believe or how I think. And I had a Catholic professor telling me that I was the most Catholic, non-Catholic he had ever met because of my understanding and study of Catholicism. But I listen to Catholic radio, and I don't agree with everything. But again, it challenges me to relook at my own position. So I listen to things I disagree with. So even though I don't agree with everything on the Understanding the Times program, I find it fascinating, and I study, and I try to figure out what the truth is. I don't just listen to one point of view, all right? I constantly do that, and I think we have to be willing to do that, all right? So I just want to make sure the main thing I want you to get from that is that I'm going to be playing a part of their program, and I don't necessarily is saying everything that you're about to hear is 100% true. I'm not here to say that I agree with everything. What I want to do is bring it to your attention and then see what we can discover that is true that they mention. Now, I'm not going to be able to play all of this. Again, I have a limited amount of time. I'm supposed to be going live in 45 minutes. But I thought this was interesting because their discussion was about Pope Francis. And they make lots of claims. Now, some of the claims they make, I can at least verify that some of it is true because they make a reference to a document. And I looked up the document and I found the document. Are you ready? At the Vatican website. So therefore, I know it's an official document, that it's not a part of some grand conspiracy. It's found on the Vatican website, and I have it. And there was a news article. I don't know when the news article was published, but there's a news article related to it as well. I think I may have found the news article as recent as today. I could be wrong. I would have to look at the date. I don't know how much of that we're going to get to, but I'm going to play this. And again, I just want that word of warning that, hey, I don't agree with everything here. I'm not asking you to agree with everything here. And you may even find some of it to be a full-blown, conspiracy theory. All I'm asking you is we can anything that's not true, obviously reject outright, ignore. But I'll do this. Let me say it this way. For the Catholics who are listening, please understand that this is the kind of thinking that is prevalent in some forms of Christianity in regards to the Pope. And it's Catholics' responsibility then to try to clarify it and help non-Catholics see the truth. And let me make it very clear to the Protestants are listening, you have to be careful that there are many things being said about the Pope and the Catholic Church within the Protestant world that is just not true and is a misrepresentation and is conspiratorial and in nature. And so you have to be careful. Now, Catholics need to help clarify, right? And they need to produce material to help clarify. But Protestants need to be very careful and do due diligence and research and not to fall if you're being misled or things are being misrepresented. So there's a lot of responsibility on everyone's part. Protestants obviously should not produce anything that is false. They should not, just like Catholics should not produce anything that is false. So it bothers me that sometimes when you deal with Christian programming, you have to go, wait, what is true, what is accurate, and what is false, which Christians are bound to speak the truth. So it always bothers me. But just realize this happens. And when it's happening, we need to talk about it. We need to know that it's going on. We need to help clarify. And to be fair, Pope Francis has been caught up in enough controversies where he said this, no, he didn't say this, and the Vatican has to come back and try to clarify. And I've said it a million times. If there's a report, if the Pope has the ability, the second a report comes out that he said something that appears to be controversial or crazy or radical, he does have the ability to clarify it at any time. It's not like he doesn't have access to the media and access to the internet. He can clarify any statement he makes whenever he wants. And sometimes it's frustrating because I'll try to help Protestants go, well, that's not really an accurate way that it's presented. But it's like sometimes you want the Catholic Church and Pope Francis to, that you do have the ability to make it more clear. So there are times where I think some of the things he says are misrepresented, but there are times he says things that I think even Catholics are kind of going, wait, what did Pope Francis say? What is he talking about? And this is a situation here. I think a lot's going to be dependent on how you view this is going to be dependent on how you view the document that's going to be referenced here. So let's just jump into this. Again, this comes from Understanding the Times. It aired yesterday. Hopefully all of those warnings make sense. I hope so. I hate being rushed. But I want to get this out there now because sometimes you have a limited amount of time or you're going to be talking about something that's no longer relevant. In some ways, I think this document actually occurred in February of 2019. So it's weird that it's being talked about in May of 2020. So it may no longer even be that relevant, but it's being talked about on Christian radio. So my job is anything related to Catholicism is to bring to your attention and for us to try to work through and struggle with. I mean, that's what we try to figure out truth, right? Everyone should want truth. Catholics should want truth. Protestants should want truth, correct? We should all want the truth. And if Pope Francis has done something that calls into question some biblical concepts and the truth of Christianity, then we have to at least address it. I think that's fair, all right? So again, some of this may sound a little conspiratorial. We'll try to figure out what the truth is. I want you to just realize I want to be fair. And I don't want to sit there and just play this audio and go, hey, this is absolutely true. I don't believe that would be fair. But at the same time, I don't want to avoid it because this could offend some Catholics. That's wrong too. Look, truth can offend a Catholic. Truth can offend a Protestant. Truth doesn't care about your feelings. Truth is just like, here is truth. And then we have to deal with it. All right. And so you can't avoid topics because you're afraid of offending people. I can't do that. I know I could probably, get more listeners if I tried to, toe a specific line, but I'm not. I'm going to always pursue things no matter where they may lead. And so we're going to use this and see where it may lead. You're going to have to do research. I'm going to have to do research. And we're going to try to discover the truth together. I hope you're ready. Are you ready? Here we go. This is from the radio program Understanding the Times. This is what I heard in my car on my way home yesterday afternoon. And it'll be on the air again at around noon here in the Abilene, Texas area. All right, here we go.
And welcome to the program. This is part 2 of a 2-part series talking to Gary Kah. Spent last week in a fascinating discussion. And let me just review a little bit what we talked about. It's impossible to review it fully, but you can find the programming on my website, olivetreeviews.org, and just go to Radio, Complete Archives. You can find it on our YouTube channel. That'd be under Jan Markell, Olive Tree Ministries. You can find it on hischannel.com. You can find it at oneplace.com. Last week's programming, an hour with Gary, talking about just how would the global government, they're passionate about it. They have been, frankly, for 5,000 years, more active in the last perhaps 100 years. How are they seizing this crisis to bring about their one world system? That's what we spent last week talking about. We covered a lot of different topics from Event 201. You'd have to look some of this up online if you don't want to hear the programming. ID 2020. We spent some time on that. We have referenced the World Economic Forum. We talked a lot last week and played a number of sound bites with Bill Gates, who seems to be at the present, well, they're pinning the tail on the donkey of Bill Gates being very, let's just say, Antichrist-esque. I'm not saying he's it. We don't know. There's a lot we don't know, and sort of speculating, well, it makes for interesting conversation. At times it can be a little bit fruitless and futile. Gary Kah began looking at the global government agenda 30 years ago. He's written some books on it. You can find those books at GaryKah.org, GaryKah.org. I've done a DVD on it, and we talked last week about the rampant loss of civil liberties. It seems that when it comes to health, people are willing to give things up in the name of, well, we see these horrible images, some of them coming out of nursing homes, but not exclusively nursing homes. Even younger people getting very, very ill from coronavirus, the consequences of all that, and then you have to weigh the consequences of a seriously harmed economy. And all of this when, in fact, 98% of those who get the virus are going to recover. We talked a little bit about the Georgia Guidestones and the fact that the globalists really do want to reduce Earth's population down to 500 million people. Is this part of their plan? We do not know. Gary?
I have to jump in. If you've never seen the Georgia Guidestones, you should really look them up online. You can draw your own conclusions. But look up the Georgia Guidestones. I did a podcast about it many, many years ago. You can, and I think someone from my church actually went to see them, if I remember correctly. I think someone actually went there to see the Georgia Guidestones and took pictures of them, if I remember correctly. I can't. I may be confusing. Maybe it was someone online who went to see them. But the Georgia Guidestones, look them up online, and you. Don't draw, just read what they have to say. I'm not asking you to believe anything or all the conspiracies surrounding them. Just read them, and then you can draw your own conclusions of, are they ominous, or what does that make you feel? Just read them, the Georgia Guidestones. You can find them online easy. You can find pictures of them easy online. So they're talked about a lot in conspiratorial world and conspiratorial type programs. So at least look them up for yourself, and you can determine what you can interpret them then from there. But I think instead of interpreting them, just read them. Just know they exist. Just that's all I ask you to do right now. But here we go. We're going to get to what they have to say in regards to Pope Francis. That's where we're really going. And a certain document that I'm looking at right now on my iPad. All right, here we go.
And I are not wearing tinfoil hats, trying to be conspiratorial, but when we look at Revelation, particularly chapter 13, other chapters as well, 17, 18, we see a one-world system leaping out of the book of Revelation. We read about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. One of the horsemen is very involved in the whole pestilence scenario. What we're talking about, church is not in the tribulation, but nonetheless, is this a run-up to it? Is this a warning to the church? Is it a warning to the world that time is short, that time is growing very, very short? You need to make a decision for the Lord Jesus Christ. There really is good news on the horizon. Our heavenly home awaits us, and we spend a good deal of time talking about all the vaccine, the mass vaccine plans that are going on for the planet as we speak. So, Gary, welcome back to the program.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
It's kind of hard to know where to start, but let me start how I pre-announced things last week, and I'm going back to some of the things you're writing about. I'm actually in your previous newsletter at this point. Last week, we talked heavily about your spring edition, and you can find that at garyka.org, folks. But he had a winter edition that came out in January, and I'm referring to that. I'm going to be reading a few paragraphs from it, and I used the tease last weekend about Pope Francis. Pope Francis is called the Vicar of the New World Order. He's one of the primary proponents of the one world system. Clearly, that is his passion in life. Gary Ka, why do you think that is, that a pope would have such a fascination and a longing for a one world system?
I think if you look at his background coming out of the Jesuit order, which its history has been one that is more toward globalization and pushing that agenda, and I think a lot of people have missed that about him, but he is the first, at least what we know of, the first overtly Jesuit pope. That has been a concern to conservatives, both Protestants, but also conservative Catholics, who've been keeping a close eye on him, because this pope, for whatever reason, is really supportive of the New World Order on every level. He's addressed all of them: government, economics, the environment, education, religion, etc. You just can't get away from it. His own words condemn him on that issue. He's made very clear where he stands on this through his many public statements. During the last 14, 15 months, though, he's intensified his efforts even more. Something I wanted to point out was that a little bit over a year ago, February 2019, Pope Francis met with the world's best-known Muslim cleric,
That's right,
the Grand Imam, Ahmed Al-Taib of Egypt, and together they proposed the United Nations World Day of Fraternity. This is the latest catchword, fraternity. They proposed this to the UN Secretary General. The Pope and the Imam also proposed a UN-hosted World Summit on Human Fraternity. The goal of these events really is to promote the ideas that they laid out in their joint document that they drafted together, titled Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together. It's kind of a disguised call for a new world order, for coming together, a type of interfaithism to help make the new world order possible. The underlying premise of this declaration, Jan, of the Pope and Imam Al-Taib, is that all religions are good and come from God. In their document, when the word believers is used, it's actually a reference to all people who believe in the existence of a God, no matter what their concept of that God might be. So it presents the false notion of universal religious unity, the idea that all religions are pathways to God, which of course is a dangerous lie. The document repeats over and over the term human fraternity, which you could substitute the term global interfaith unity for the term human fraternity, because that's really what it means. All this is going on behind the scenes, and in some circles people are very aware of this. This pope is held in very high regard by the leaders of the United Nations because of his efforts toward interfaithism, while also endorsing their globalization efforts politically and on the economic and environmental front. I've told people this in the last week. He's involved in all of this up to his eyeballs. He just is. A question that many people ask me is, why has the Pope taken center stage to this degree in the religious community and with the UN? My answer to them is, if you think about it, a system of world government would be virtually impossible to accomplish without the blessing and support of the Pope, which is over the Church of Rome, which represents over 1 billion Catholics worldwide. If he stood up against this emerging New World Order and became a mouthpiece against it and said, I oppose this because our freedoms will be taken away from us, things will become too centralized, it's a dangerous thing, we'll see persecution of Christians and Jews as a result of this move towards socialism. If he did that type of thing, it'd be almost impossible to pull off this New World Order. How can you do?
All right, now let's stop right there. Okay, now this is what I want you to do. I want you to listen to me carefully. Throw out completely the whole discussion about New World Order and all of that. Just throw that out, okay? Don't even go there because that will simply keep us from the real issue at hand, all right? That will simply confuse and cloud what the discussion you and I should be having, all right? The issue is this. In this document that he makes a reference to, all right, I am looking at it right here. I've got it from the Vatican website. It is called A Document on Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together, all right? A document on human fraternity for world peace and living together. It's an actual document. It's not a conspiracy. All right. In the photo, the photo for this episode is a picture of him meeting with that Muslim cleric. All right. And I've got the document right here. All right. Now this is absolutely critical. First, you should read the document for yourself. You should read the document. Again, it is called A Document on Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together. Now, this is what I'm going to say. This is absolutely critical, all right? If the Pope, and I'm going to stress if, and I stress if the Pope is signing a document that is saying, like they claim, that all religions, no matter what God you believe in, are somehow equal and somehow valid paths to God, then clearly that is flat out heretical. There is only one way to the Father, and that is through Jesus Christ. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and no man comes to the Father except through him. Salvation is found in Jesus Christ alone. There is no other way to God. There is only, listen, Christianity and Islam cannot both be true at the same time. It is not possible. It makes no sense. Forget religiously, logically. They are making completely opposing and opposite claims. Their teaching and claims about Jesus is far different than the claims and teaching about Jesus found in the Bible. They both cannot be true. It just doesn't work that way. If Christianity is true, Islam is false. We believe Christianity is Trinitarian. Catholics know this. We believe in one God, coexisting as three distinct persons who are co-equal and co-eternal, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Look at the Athanasian Creed. Look at the about who Jesus is. Look at the Nicene Creed. Look at all the 7 ecumenical councils. And those 7 ecumenical councils would say, if you don't believe this, you are anathema. If you don't believe this, you are anathema. If you don't believe this, you are anathema. Look at the history of Christianity. There is no way Islam should be viewed as equal with Christianity, that a believer in Islam should be referred to as a believer as in the true God, and that in any way, shape, or form, if this document is doing what they just claimed. Now remember, they made claims about the document. So let me make this clear. The document is real. Fact. I have it. It's on the Vatican website. Does it do what they said? That is what we have to try to decipher and interpret for ourselves as accurately as we can. And I don't have the time to do it in this episode, but I want to bring this to your attention. Again, the name of the document, I've got it right here in front of me. A Document on Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together. Are they claiming in any way, shape, or form, is Pope Francis promoting in any way, shape, or form this idea of one religious unity where we're all together and we claim that each other have a path to God. That is not Christianity. Christianity is exclusive. Christianity says you must believe in Christ. You must put your faith in him, or there is no salvation apart from Jesus Christ. It's only under the name of Jesus Christ whereby men can be saved. This is historical biblical Christianity. Look, if all religions can somehow get us there, then why do you have 7 ecumenical councils condemning all kinds of people? You are anathema, 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 you are anathema. Why even have the Protestant Reformation? Hey, Luther, you can believe what you want, we believe what we want. We're the same. I mean, we still believe in God. Let's all be unified. The Catholic Church never viewed it that way. They never viewed it that way. They went after what they believed to be false. The Inquisitions, okay? The people were killed for being heretics. Clearly, the Catholic Church has never believed we're all one and together. Now, I know there's some statements in the Catechism that seems to try to imply this concept, and I think some of those statements in the Catechism should trouble any Catholic, especially in light of just Catholic Church history. Catholic Church history has never been like, okay, let's all be one. Let's all be one together. No, that's not the way it worked. They wouldn't have excommunicated Luther. There wouldn't have been an Inquisition. There would have been all the things that there wouldn't have been all the anathemas declared. Look at the Council of Trent, all the anathemas declared, okay, against Protestants, right? That's not the way it is. So if you're going to have a history where we're going to condemn them, this is the truth, this is the one true faith, and anything that deviates from it is false, you can't come along and say, hey, Muslims, let's all be one together. Let's all be joined together. Now, again, if you want to say joined together for purpose A, if you want to say that, that's okay, but you can't say that Muslims are therefore fellow believers and that they're on a path to God, the true God, because they have a wrong God, a wrong Jesus, and a wrong system of salvation, and would be considered heretical and obviously not Christian throughout church history. I mean, that's just a fact, unless you're going to just throw out all of church history and rewrite everything. And if that's the case, then don't tell me that tradition and history has any bearing on what you do today, because you're just throwing it all out. So, but the key is does the document actually do what they just claimed? They're claiming this is bringing some kind of unity together. Now, there's a lot more in this program we could listen to, and we will probably come back and listen to everything they have to say. But you see that there's a little bit of conspiratorial ideas going on there, right? Throw that out. I don't care about New World Order. But I do care about some call for all religions to be viewed as one, and all somehow equal, and somehow all equally true, and somehow all equally providing a path to God. That is wrong. That is heretical. And if Pope Francis is promoting that, well, I don't have to deal with it, but Catholics have to deal with it. All right, I'm going to have to stop right there. Read the document. This is what I'll do. I won't have time right now, but I will get this document posted to the theologycentral.net blog, theologycentral.net. You can go to the theologycentral.net page, and then there go to the blog section, and there'll be, I'll call it a human fraternity, and then I will post, I may just copy and paste the whole document right there so you can just read it right there. Yeah, I'm just looking at it. Yeah, I want to just read the whole thing. We may have to work back and read the whole thing. It's not that long of a document. And it was signed February the 4th, 2019, and it was signed by Pope Francis and the Grand Imam, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I would do a horrible job. He did a far better job. All right. Yeah, I see. The declaration, now see, I don't know. Now this, because they said they use the word believers to refer to both Muslims and Christians, and maybe they do. It says at the very end, it says that this declaration may constitute an invitation to reconciliation and fraternity among all believers. So reconciliation and fraternity among all believers. We need reconciliation and fraternity among all believers. And so you're referring to Muslims as believers and Christians as believers? Like, I don't know. I would have to read that whole thing. I want to be fair to the document, but you can look at it for yourself. All right, I got to stop. I got to get ready for our Sunday school hour here at Victory Baptist Church. I wanted to get this out there as soon as possible, and we'll see what we can do. Let's, again, be fair. Let's be honest. Again, I don't throw out, they talk about Bill Gates and mass vaccines, just throw out all of the conspiratorial stuff there. Sometimes in the midst of a conspiratorial talking, there can be something there that can have, oh, wait, that could be true. This document is accurate. They make some major claims about the document. We got to determine what is true. What is the correct way? And there may be some, I'll try to see how some other Catholics have handled the document. The bottom line, it doesn't matter how Catholics handled the document. What matters is, what is Pope Francis saying? And if there's some idea that he's viewing another religion that's clearly not Christian, that's clearly a false God, false salvation, false Jesus, false understanding of so much, and a false scripture, the Quran is obviously not the scriptures, not the Bible. I mean, you got a false authority. You got so many things going wrong there that you can't say, hey, let's reconcile and have fraternity with one another and we're all believers. No. You're a believer in your religion, and Catholics should argue that religion is false. I mean, that would be the way you would have to approach it. So something to really, 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 really consider, because this reaches a serious level. I talked about before, like, where's that line in the sand that the Pope can do something and you say, wait, can't go along with that. This is right there, at least has the appearance of being right there. Has the appearance. And we'll definitely come back and talk about it. But this is up to you to go read the document for yourself. I'm not making any dogmatic declarations right now. I'm saying that this has the appearance of being seriously messed up. The appearance. I'm not making any dogmatic declaration right now. Please do not think that I'm making a declaration. I'm saying this should concern everyone. And we probably should have been talking about it back in 2019. I don't think the Non-Catholic Catholic podcast existed in 2019. I may have addressed it somewhere. I'd have to go back through the archives and see. But yeah, there you go. All right, I'll stop right there. Everyone have a great day. I've got to go live here shortly for Sunday school. God bless.